Okay, so per last video, our line work is ready to go, right? We have the background information that has each of its source layers, and you see those reflected right here under section BG, which was the group, and it gave me all of the layers under that group. Then we have the section line work right here, which is under the section cut layer. So the cool thing about that is that you don't have to do each of those as separate exports as long as you pulled them apart. I can just do export selected on that right here under the file menu with both of them at once. So export selected under retreat, I'm going to put it down into exports here, and I'm going to call this one section LW for line work. You can find your own way of indexing certain files. I just have this kind of, quick and dirty sort of just give me a couple of digits to understand. So section line work, hit save. You can keep it as the default export scheme. Don't worry about anything else for a long, long time in your career. And then it's time to go into Autocad. So let me just AutoCAD 2016 English, and I'm going to pause this as it initializes. All right, so in AutoCAD you have a couple of options, right? So some of you, excuse me, some of you might be setting up your file within one of your previous projects, and that's fine. If you're going to do that, then you would open up that file and do a file import. So that basically, and I'll do that now, but if not, then you just go to open and you open this file from wherever it is. Okay, so just know that if you just go to open, then you're going to have to process it here and then reinsert your X reference and reset up all your sheets and everything like that. You might not want to do that. So what I do is I'm going to go to wherever I put my other files. Let me just go to this box drawings. Sure, I'll put it under box drawings. Okay, so box drawings has my 8.5 by 11 sheets here. I'm just going to remove this viewport and make it easy on myself. But call this one axonometric section. And this is just for the sake of the video. You guys would actually make another layer. I just don't have time for it in the video here. So the import process, right, you're going to have a whole bunch of other drawings that live in this file. So I would just go to insert, and rather than attach, which is going to attach it as an X reference, you would want to insert the block so that it's modifiable. So I'm going to say more options, and then go to browse. And then locate the drawing. Make sure that your scale is set to 1:1, scale factor 12, and there you go. Okay, so this line work then comes in as a block. You type explode to break it apart, and now they're individually modifiable items. Okay, so I know that I usually go through a big process of, kind of realigning all of these layers in order to make them, named correctly so that they're easy to work with. You should do that. I'm not going to, because the fact that it came in with a prefix of section is going to serve my purpose as well here. However, you may, with your multiple views in one file, encounter an issue with that if you use the same naming convention for all of your files. So you might want to be very controlled about which layers are coming in under what names. You right there? Okay. So I know that this is my section cut, which is right here under section cut default. So I'm going to leave this one as under index color. I'll leave it as 250, which is black. As a matter of fact, there should be a, if you make it, oh, if you make it white, it'll come up as black on the page. It just makes it easier if you like to use a black background. Then it just makes it easier on your eyes here. So I'll make it white for your guys' sake, and it will show up black. The background information. So the background information, I have a tendency to simplify it at first and then very selectively modify and improve. So in that regard, I'm basically going to just make sure that I'm switching everything here into an index color. I don't really care about what is what. I'm just going to kind of go down the line, pick different index colors, and then move on to setting up the sheet, essentially. Okay, and you'll have to go through a process of establishing your line types and line weights. For now, I'm leaving all of my line weights as default until I look at the drawing and I see which elements I want to actually accentuate. So the only one I need to modify right now is going to be my section layer. And my section layer is really only going to be modified by filling in the actual section cut, which becomes very simple once you actually clean up the corners. So you'll notice that I have a couple of gaps in my corners like this where they don't exactly join. I have, overlapping forms like this, which those really aren't super problematic. My stairs look pretty good. Generally speaking, that's all right. So my cleanup is going to be pretty simple. I can just get rid of extra geometry in the form like that. If I activate the fillet command, let me close this properties manager actually. So fillet, I'm going to switch my radius to 0 and go from there to there. Get rid of that. Same thing. Oh, wait. Fillet. And fillet here. Fillet there. And here. And just remember to get rid of some, you don't have to be exhaustive about this, just get rid of some of the extraneous geometry. You don't have to get rid of all of it. I'm just trying to make some of these hatches a little simpler on myself. So that looks pretty good. I think what I want to do is actually clean these up as well. So I'm going to just make sure I select the top edge of each of these elements. And extend. So extend might be a new one to you guys. Did I go over extend with you yet? It's the opposite of trim in both AutoCAD and Rhino.
Yeah.
So extend, I select the line I want to extend to, and then just zoom in and see whether or not it's already crossing. Where it's not crossing, you just click a line and it'll extend to that edge. Like that. Okay. All right, then it's time to do hatches. So for your hatching, you might want to actually set up a new layer. So I'm going to set a new layer, and in keeping with my naming convention, say section-cut hatch. White's fine. I'll leave it at white. And then you go to the hatch command, And you can try, so I usually start off by trying to use the pick points, because usually it works out very well. By layer, oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Let me make this the section cut hatch. Hatch, solid, solid, 0, pick points. There. And there. And here. Alright, so that one gave me an error, so I'm going to complete the command there, go back into hatch, and okay, so that one's going to give me an error, it looks like. So I kind of go through this process to just hatch whatever I can using pick points, and where it gives me errors, I leave it blank, and then I go back and I polyline it later. Can't be determined, so I must have messed that one up somehow. That's weird. Oh. So sometimes it will not let you define a hatch boundary if you don't have the whole volume in your view, which is kind of problematic at times. So just make sure that you see the entirety of the volume that you're trying to fill when you're doing your hatch. That's just a troubleshooting tip. Oh, that one worked. That's odd. Alright, so this one's giving me trouble. So I'm just going to draw a line from one point to the other then. Hatch it better. And then you go through the process of doing the same thing on the rest of your geometry as well. Even the ones that are very, very tiny should still show because it gives it more credibility, I think. It's more accurate. I have a tendency to break up my hatching into groups that are sort of family oriented. So the stairs I did all in one, the handrail and guardrail I did in one hatch. I tried to get as much of the actual building cut in one hatch as possible, but sometimes that's not always practical. So after that point, I've pretty much got my actual section line work ready to go. So I can, I hate that little group thing. I can select it all and in fact make this a group if you want. Oh, did it take some off? No, it doesn't look like it. So you can make that a group to make it easier to work with if you'd like. And what I do is I typically just drag it and put it on the geometry just like that. So now you can already see. I mean, it's pretty apparent at this point how clear this drawing is getting. Just by, just by putting that dark hatch layer over top of the actual drawing behind it, I think. How are we doing on time for this one? Oops. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video here then, and I'll bring it on to the sheet in the next one, and I'll just show you guys putting in the ground hatch and stuff like that, and maybe accentuating it a little bit. Questions?